Jumping straight into the video, I'm taking a 1x4x8 and marking a section that is 18 inches long. I'm now taking it over to the chop saw to cut out this section. Once I got this section cut out, I'm taking it over to the table saw and I'm going to strip it down to 1 3/8 of an inch strips. Alright, so with my two strips, I cut one down to 14 inches. Then from the dead center, I add 3/4 of an inch on each side to get 1 3/8 of an inch, which is the thickness of this. And for the side, I measured 3/8 of an inch inwards, and I basically made like a little box, which I will cut out. I did the same to the 18 inch or the longer piece. So essentially, when I cut these out, they will fit seamlessly and flushly together like this. That'll start to form the cross. So I'll do that right now with the table saw. Yeah, so now as you can see, there is a little gap cut out right here, but yeah, it's pretty rough. So what I'm gonna do is just take a chisel and file that down, and I'm gonna make a second one right now. So, alright, so now we have two. I messed up right here, but I'll just put some wood filler in here and fill that up. But as you can see, this is just a rough fit. Top, as you can see, they'll just join together, and of course I'll sand and make everything flush and smooth. Alright, so for the second time I have to use this method where you just take sandpaper and you wrap it around a pencil, preferably a square one. So I had to do this in the last video. It worked well too, so I'm just gonna do this and go over all the joints where they connect to make everything smooth and flush, and then we'll do a test fit. So it's the next day. I didn't like how this one turned out. There's a few things that I could have worked on, so I decided to start fresh and make a new one. So I'll just start the video where I left off with the old cross. So now this step is pretty easy. I'm just using glue and a clamp to attach the two pieces. And I'm just using my speed square to make sure everything is aligned properly. So I am making this cross for a cat that passed away, and the name was Sammy. So I'm just adding that to a Google Doc and a paw print, and I'm just gonna print those out. Essentially what I'm doing is just making a stencil. Alright, so now that I got the piece of paper printed out, I got some scrap wood and an X-Acto knife. Now I'm just going to carefully cut out all the black, so I just have like a stencil of the name and the paw print. I'm going to trace that over onto the cross. The name will go across right here and the paw print will go up here. And then I'll take a wood burner and burn it in, and then I will varnish it and add a clear coat, and then we're done. Not gonna lie, this part was a little tedious and I wish I used a sharper X-Acto knife. So if you guys ever do this, make sure your knife or blade is pretty sharp. So I finished cutting out the paw prints and the name. As you can see, it's not perfect, but as I trace them onto the cross, I'll do as best as I can. And when I do the wood burn, I'll make sure that everything's straight and pretty much perfect. I just used tape to hold the stencils in place while I trace the paw print and the name. As you can see, the name isn't the best, so I'm just going to freehand it and make everything look way better than this. The paw print is actually looking pretty good. I'm just going to leave it as is, but I'm going to definitely fix up the words. So I am using a wood burner, but if you really wanted to and go the easier route, you could just spray paint the name or spray paint whatever you're doing. So to trace out the word Sammy in the paw print, I got this really fine tip point. I'm gonna just go around the edges with this, take a thicker piece and do the middle and fill in the rest with this. So again, like cutting out the stencil, wood burning the name and the paw print in was a little tedious, but if you take your time, you should do fine. A quick tip while you're wood burning is if you ever mess up, you can easily just sand over that mistake and re-burn whatever you're burning. I finished burning in the name and the cat prints. Now the last two steps are I have to cut off a point right here and make it a triangle so it's easier to stick into the ground. And I just got to cover the whole thing with the clear coat. Also, it's 7:30 in the morning, so I can't use a chop saw because I don't want to be rude to the neighbors. So I'm just going to have to use a hand saw to make these 2 cuts. Just so I don't mark or ruin the wood, I'm using this old rag to hold the cross in place. So after creating this point, the final and last step is to add this clear coat, and I'm going to add about 2 coats of it to this, and then we should be finished. So yeah. If you really wanted to, you could just add 1 coat and your piece would turn out fine, but I always like to add 2 coats. So here is the final product. Sorry I don't have any videos, but I had to deliver it to the client, but here are some photos of the finished product. If you guys have any ideas on what I should build next, just leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching.